Well, hello. Short talk at the Rio with an old guy. I guess that'd be me. Hello to you. Welcome. My name's Mike. Come on, sit down and smoke a cigar. Well, whatever. That's probably not healthy. There's medical reasons that statement has been circumscribed. So at any rate, I don't think we're going to get any cigar deals out of that. It's a Saturday morning, and so this is going to be maybe a sketchy episode in terms of facial features and whatnot, because I sometimes forget to look because I'm trying to watch where I'm walking. Going down that same trail I like to go, and saw a couple of bikers go by, a couple of walkers earlier. I was just standing there over there by the Rio barefoot, doing kind of some energetic exercises, I call them. And maybe sometime I'll figure out how to set up a tripod out here or something and do these. It's just kind of stretching out and kind of playing with body energy is what I call it. And the net result is, if you're physically grounded while you're doing energetic motion, it can be really refreshing. Kind of feels like a big wash of, if you've ever been out at the ocean, and when the wave comes by, if it's not enough to knock you out, say it's a 2.5 footer or something, when it goes by, it kind of gives you a little lift, and then afterwards, you just kind of sit down and rest. And, it's not like you get all pooped out or something like that, like doing calisthenics. But I just find that by moving around like that, then after that, I'll go for a walk. It seems more natural on my back, and I think the chiropractor would approve, let's put it that way. So I was just mumbling to myself today, went down and got me some breakfast, and I said to myself, what would you be yapping about today if you was an old guy down by the Rio? So that's why I brought the camera, because I kind of planned to make a video. Oddly enough, I haven't decided on what the topic might be. maybe that should show up in the header, Short talk with the old guy about some darn thing. If only he could remember. So, I was talking to a young lady. She wasn't that young. Probably in her 50s, a Lakota, and she was at the restaurant, and I don't know, I gathered that her daughter works there, so she was known around there. I don't think she's an employee, but anyway, had a really interesting conversation with her for probably a good 25 minutes, and when I knocked over the water, when I was gesturing, because the conversation, it was very lively, I really enjoyed talking with her, but I started using my hands, of course, when I'm talking, and there it went. And I said, okay, that means the guy's getting cut off. So, I'd already been there an extra 20 minutes than I would have been anyhow. And the topics that were coming up had to do with, the United States of America has a track record with the native peoples. I mean, you ask a Native American what they think of white man and white man government, well, may not be entirely flattering. Go figure. And so these folks have a view of the US of A government that I didn't really grow up with. I was never taught to basically distrust as really the source of ruination the feds. But it's kind of coming around to that now, ain't it? Where you realize that people in high places, both bureaucratic and political, and in the big pharma Inc. too, here goes Roadrunner again, and all of that stuff is rolling against you. You gotta step back and say, now wait a minute here. Is this a matter of truth? Is this a matter of honor? No, it's a matter of somebody trying to get ahead politically, gain political power, gain huge sums of money at your expense. The government has an intention of bumping you off. They've demonstrated and are demonstrating it through these so-called policies having to do with certain things that go in your arm. And I just keep thinking to myself, the way it's working right now, it's like, what is the US of A known for around the world? Where, well, we think we're the cop of the world, except, we'll defend every nation everywhere except our own border. What? And so our southern border is just wide open. Every kind of terrorist in the world can march right in, and they have been, I'm sure. They're among us now. Well, thanks, you know who. With the who knows if it's even the real one, the poodle. I guess this lighting issue is just going to drive me crazy. I hope it ain't me. Hey, I'll just switch the camera. We can keep yakking. How about that? That way you don't have to look at me. Yeah, so you can see what I see. How about that? So I'm just sitting there thinking today. I was talking with this Lakota lady, and I said, you know, the way that the natives have been treated over the years, you know, they could be well saying, you know, to the rest of the world and to a lot of Americans who are just now beginning to wake up to this, that, hey, the way that the US of A is treating people around the world by supplying bombs and bullets and poisons and rockets and junk, they're bringing destruction. They're tearing down entire civilizations almost, if they can, for profit. It's all for profit. Well, guess what? We saw that over 200 years ago. We've been dealing with the same entity all along. So in other words, the good old US of A never was that virgin, pure soil, which we were taught to believe, where freedom was firmly ensconced, and liberty and justice too. No, all that stuff was a sales job. It was like smoke and mirrors. And the idea was to fake little kids out. If you capture the youth, you've captured them for life, essentially. So it was like programming. Well, guess what? There's new programming. And the new programming for little kids ain't that at all. The idea that somehow the federal government is the good guys who are on our side. As people, I mean. No, they're obviously becoming the idea of tyrants is hard for us to grasp as Americans. The idea of kings and queens is hard for us to grasp. The idea of tribal or clan type government seems kind of archaic to us. We really are not familiar with it. We only favor one other idea, and the thing is, all those other ideas have been historically the vast majority of governments around the world. Tribe, clan, that's one great groups of peoples. Often lived maybe in the forests or on the plains in groups. There's kings, there's queens, and then there's tyrants who simply rule. A general who rises up with his army and conquers the legitimate government, or something like that. And the idea is, we have been in the United States trained to think of our government, the US of A, as the good guys in the deal. Hey, if there's a Western movie and you got two guys, one's got a white hat, one's got a black hat, who's the bad guy? Go figure. And so they used to give you little hints like that, you see. They took all the hints away is what they did. They took all the blasted hints away. So now we got to figure out on our own, and this is how you figure it out. The situation we have going on is someone's trying to capture your energy. Someone's trying to capture your mind and make you afraid and get you used to a certain source or code language in order to function and feel safe and that life is normal. So that's what they're selling. But the way they sell it is through abnormality, bizarre destruction. You know, these food processing plants that mysteriously blow up. What is that about? You have the halting of the Canadian oil pipeline, which could have been basically making a huge difference for years now. And the so-called administration, that's one of the first things they shot down. And so, I mean, this is beyond incompetent, and it's criminal. And the Biden crime family needs to be prosecuted. This man needs to be put away. But that probably ain't going to happen now, is it? Because he's like the Clintons. He's like the Obamas. Literally, some people can get away with murder. And as I was walking along today, I thought, you know, it's so easy to kind of lose your energy, kind of lose your sense of, want to, as you're kind of strolling through life, because it's like, man, these powers of darkness and this powers of just, criminal stupidity, and it's this incredible level of bureaucratic waste and fraud in the entire system. It's shot right through with it. The thing's as corrupt as the day is long. And yeah, I hear a biker coming by. Look at that hat, man. That's a good idea. It's kind of like a frisbee thing that buckles on after the fact. Never seen one of those. Anyhow, when we get right down to it, and we got a lot of stuff in our life kind of breathing on you, it's making you feel bad, makes you think like, boy, does anybody really know what's going on at all? And can anybody fix this? The answer is, there is a fix, but it's not from this world. The Messiah, Jesus, steps into the lives of humans. That's people like you and me. And he changes them from the inside out. And as he's doing that, they themselves become different kind of people in often rather surprising ways. And but not necessarily. It doesn't have to be some huge shock. But the point is that his people have a new priority, and he's at the center of it. His kingdom and the expansion of the glory of his name, that's at the center of it. And of course, for the benefit of the church. The church is all about enjoying the good blessings of the King. So she wants to flourish too. So at any rate, the church, as we call it, is essentially the Gentiles that have been grafted into believing Israel. We have become Jews in terms of the faith. We are Jews in terms of the save. There's only one saving faith. And Abraham had it, and his children do too. That includes Gentiles like you and me. So we've been grafted into, drawn into, attached permanently by the great King. And he comes into this mess. He looks around. He doesn't see it the way you and I do. I just can't believe that. He comes and he sees through our eyes and says, boy, yeah, things do look bleak. Yeah. But the great thing about the news of the gospel book, the Bible, that's your 66 there. Yeah, okay, I like to use NASB, but an NIV is okay if I have to. I can even use the Living Bible. I've ESV, that's a good translation, they say. New King James, okay, New King James, that's a good one. Anyhow, whichever one you like, as long as it's accurate to the ancient text, is okay with me. And there was this guy named Eugene Peterson, I think, did a New Testament. I did like his version. It was in modern English kind of thing. But anyway, getting back to the story, quit wandering, will you? I'm just wandering down the way today. And thinking about how when we get involved with this kind of big chaotic world, and it kind of feels like it's overwhelming you, and feels like, is anybody in charge? Are there any adults in the room? And it's just what kind of chaos are these fools making? Do they have any idea the cost this will be? This is destructive at destructive levels of stupidity. And it's like group suicide. What is that? And who wins on that page? And, the government should be held liable. Men and women should be going to jail today for the crimes against humanity, the crimes against the Constitution, the crimes against the law of God, and every other thing that can be thrown at them. We never want to see them again. Now, if you want to talk death penalty, and if you need a rifleman out there, well, call me up. Maybe I'll have the day off. Maybe I can make it happen. But never mind, I wouldn't mind doing the job. And I don't care whether I've got the live round or not. I'm still aiming at the heart. And that's the way that justice is done. In other words, we put down our petty sense of revenge. These, dirty so-and-sos, they've got to pay. Somebody's got to pay, right? It rises up in us. At least it does in me. And I don't try to deny it. I don't try to blink it away. I don't try to make it be not there. I just say, look, it's real. And I can't do it, but it still has to happen. And so we entrust vengeance to another. That'd be the Father Almighty. And as he has decided, his executive in dispensing justice, the King of the Jews, he's the one who's coming in power. These bikers here, look at that. They got a three-wheeler. I guess I've never ridden one of those. Huh. Hi. Do you mind if I just look at your underside? I've never seen how these things work before. Huh. That's very interesting.
Only one wheel though.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, anyway, there's a lady come by with a three-wheeled bike, and I got to glance underneath there and take a look at that gear work. It didn't really catch exactly, but it looked like dual rims or something like that. Now, I'm hoping I had the sense to pack a pack of cigarettes. Hey, yeah, hey, good. Okay, children, turn your heads. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit down like that. Whew, I'm on a nice little bench. It's the only one out here on the path I'm on. I really don't know. I think this might be a mile north of the lot where we took off. Oh boy, I like stretching out. So anyway, I was standing down there by the river, okay? So getting back to the story, is that there's an energetic connection you can make today. When you think about how, numbing and stupefying everything can easily seem, it's like, is there a competent adult in the room ruling among us anywhere? And I mean, really, have they all gone corrupt, every one of them? And seems like that sometimes. And so you need to reorient yourself. You can't reach out and change the U.S. Congress with remote mind control. Okay, I know it's been tried, trust me. Not by me, I hope. But the point is, you can't change the UN. You can't change the WEF. You can pray against it, and you can speak against it, and you can donate to causes which are out to overthrow it. But you could participate too. But you can't make it go away. But what you can do is you can change your reaction to the news, your reaction to this constant series of catastrophes and fraud and crises galore. There's no end to it. And what you need to do is step it up and change how you process information so that you can let go of certain things and you can take hold of certain other things which don't shift around and don't keep changing every week. Namely, the truth. Where'd you find that? Oh, in that same book we keep talking about. Go find a book of the Bible that you love. One of my favorites for sure is 2 Peter. But go, and then Ecclesiastes, got to have that one too. And you better give me the book of James. And I love that book of Romans. In other words, ask which one's the favorite, and the answer is all of them. But, we all have our strong and weak affirmations or whatever. And one of my strong affirmations is justice. I don't really care whether I live or die. I care whether justice is done. I want to see these dirty, crooked, blank four-letter word. Okay, I'm going to do that for 5 minutes. Just kidding. All of these dirty crooks, taken out with vengeance. And because they are criminals. They're at least as bad as the Nazis were. At least as bad, and probably worse. Because they know what they're getting into. They have a historical perspective to compare themselves with, and they refuse to do it. That means they're hiding. Their identity is marred. So you have a new identity in Christ. You have a new identity founded upon a grace that was purchased by the other, the Savior. He came and paid a price in his body and in his soul and in the loss of his life that we cannot really fathom, but we do directly benefit by. It is announced to us the good news of the cross. He died, yes, and yes, he emerged later alive. He has personally beaten death. And yet, we also say the Father raised him. Jesus says he'll raise himself. The Father raised him. How did that work? The answer is yes. But in him, the new orientation, the new center. I've been watching that little bird out there on that island just pecking. Maybe I can zoom in and maybe I can aim it right. It's difficult for me to catch the picture here because the lighting on this lens is just being blazed away by sunlight. So let me shade me and see what I'm looking at. it's kind of difficult to see. Well, I'm hoping you see the bird. Okay, well, if you don't, you'll get over it. The thing is that as the wheels appear to be falling off, the tendency is to want to panic. The tendency is to want to lock up. The tendency is to want to kind of seize and maybe clench your jaws and close your eyes tight. Something like that. You know, like you're coming in for a crash landing hard. And it does feel like that, don't it? And so the idea is you got to learn to, I'm standing by the side of the Rio here. Now it's mostly dried up. But you can see this thing right here. I think this is actually the effluent off the sewage plant upstream here just a little while. But there's still a little bit of water coming down the Rio, I think, but not much. And I did see some ducks earlier. Don't know where those guys ran off to. That was before I stretched out and just kind of planted my feet in the sand there. And hopefully we won't find too many stickers. I only got one, so that was good. But I recentered this morning, and I recentered, you know, like you want to. I announced to him in prayer. I said, Father, I'm coming to you under the banner of the name of the Son, Jesus Christ, your Son, the one who is my brother through faith and through the adoption you have made. I appeal to you today. I'm asking that you would join me to the death of the Messiah again. We need it. It's the only hope. We must die and be raised to do your word, your will, your way, in your time. In other words, we want to submit our lives into your hand, our souls. And as we do so, I admit I don't react well to the news. I don't react to the news of the end of Western civilization through crooked, thieving, four-letter word, people who are essentially in charge, but not. There's others who've bought them. They're bought and sold like two-bit, you know what. I'd call them a whore, except that's an insult to all them working girls. So anyhow, the thing is that when we think about it, can I change the world? Well, you can a little bit. And part of the changing of the world that you're going to do today, we hope, is you're going to realign with the Savior. You're going to sit down and say, sir, I'd like to just come out once again, put down my weapons, and surrender. I keep thinking I can do it myself. I keep thinking maybe there's something I can contribute and make things right, and it just never works, and it just makes things worse. And we need your interference. We need your meddling. Come meddle in my life and in our lives. And so we're praying for two things: for the glory of God to be extended in earth through his church. That means you and me. So we're praying to the ends that his name be honored and glorified, and that secondarily, that the church, the believing people who are saying so and acknowledging it and walking in that reality, that they flourish, that they live. He said, I came that they would have life, yes, but they would have life abundantly, overflowing. He's the transcending God. Picture that. Here's an idea of a wine cup, you know, the kind of on a stem, the old style. Make it a gold wine cup. I don't care. I prefer wood, I think. But who likes wine? But anyway, the point is, the stuff comes bubbling up. There's no source, but the cup is running over. And from that, it floods out. And as it goes, the further it goes, the bigger it gets, the more furious and intricate and beautiful it becomes. And loyal to the center at all points. So this is the new way. Jesus Christ is renewing you in faith, in prayer. Go down to the river, get comfortable, stretch out, get your arms and back moving. And I kind of wish I could demonstrate my motions, but just think kind of like amateur kung fu. Think of a grumpy old stiff guy doing basically kind of slow pokey karate motions. Okay, it's kind of like that, but it does involve hand energy, and I like it. So anyway, if you don't like it, that's okay. But I'm going to walk a little further and think about things. I know this was a disjointed roundabout, but it's two ideas at once, and they keep competing. One is, how bad are things getting, and what can I do to fix it? What can I do to be part of the answer? And the other side is saying, the only thing we can do is we appeal to him for help in faith through prayer. And in this we ask to be transformed in our inner person, and therefore through that new agency in the world, our contribution would make a change for the better. that order would be restored. The truth-telling and honesty would reign in the courts, for instance. That'd be a good for starters, don't you agree? And so anyway, I just wanted to let you know, these two things pounding on you all the time, driving you crazy, let in a third. And the third is get planted back to earth, rest, stretch, relax, and then speak to your Father in that position when you're standing there all just kind of, finally got your spine straightened out, all that twitchy, itchy stuff is done, and you're just relaxed. But you're wide awake. Get into that kind of mind and get into that kind of action with your hands and with your feet and your body. Make time to root down. It pays. And that's one of the differences you can make in your world. Pass it on, more people do it, things will come from there as well. In other words, new things will arise off of old things. So you got to establish the first things before you get the second. Today's a good day to start. And start with this. Come out to the Father and say, I give up, man. You have got me outsmarted. Let's quit wasting time. I'd like to participate instead of fight you. And that's not a first. This is the second time that's happened this week. No, it happens all the time, day by day. I got to keep coming out and surrendering and saying, damn it, I'm the fool. I'm the one who thought I could outsmart you. And what would it have paid anyhow if I could? Would have just inherited more shame. My answers always end up blowing in my face. And oh, by the way, in case you wondered if I have regular sized eyes, yes, I do. Those are my new specs, and I was out here by the Rio and getting a nice clear focus. Out here, my vision's pretty bad. Nearsighted 20s or 550, I think. I think one was 550. I think the other was 2650. So that's pretty bad. And then these are also bifocal on top of that. I hate it when people do that. Putting on glasses with one hand. Don't do that. Just did it. And I just kind of wanted to just mumble on about that this contention in our body about what must I do? What can we do to respond to the news? Here's what you respond to the news is, I'm going to get away from the news and go pray. And I need to be re-energized by the Father to understand anew that let's begin with the premise that everything we're seeing is right on time, right on target, according to the plan He predetermined before things began. This thing is happening exactly like He said it would. Let's start there and move on and grow, we hope, with help from Him, and that's what we're praying for. Get rooted down. Time is short. Have a good day.